Hey everyone, I'm Steve from GamersNexus.net, and this is your weekly game news recap. A new Fallout 4 mod adds seasons to the Wastelands, bringing a change of pace to the desolate terrain by adding Desolate Winter and Desolate Spring. Hey, there's only so much that a mod can do. The new mod makes for bright springs filled with green scenery, gray winters wrought with steep snowbanks, and somber falls with changing leaves and fiercely bright summers accompanying those. In its current state, the mod does not dynamically update the season based on in-game clock, so players have to install the mod season which they most want and leave it until that's manually updated by the player. The modder hopes to implement dynamic season changes in the future, and that's not available right now, but as a reminder, Fallout 4 doesn't yet have an official toolkit, so all of this is being done with limited resources, overwrites, INI files, and some carryover Elder Scrolls tools, and that limits the level of dynamic interaction that mods can have at this time. Activision's Call of Duty franchise has remained a front-runner for the games industry for years, and its sequels regularly top retail charts. Black Ops 3 has just been named as the best-selling physical retail game for 2015 in a new study released by the NPD Group, and the analysis doesn't include digital sales, which basically eliminates PC from the list, but it still provides a look at popularity of games sold predominantly to console or casual players. On that list is Call of Duty Black Ops 3 in first place with 250 million copies sold, followed by Madden NFL 16 and Fallout 4, then Battlefront in fourth place. Grand Theft Auto 5 took fifth place for physical retail sales for 2015. In a shrinking market for physical boxed goods, and considering that almost no PC players buy stuff in store these days, that's a small cross-section of the industry. Luckily, we've got some Steam stats for you too that look at the digital side of things. A new report by Medium.com uses Steam Spy statistics to dig up Valve's unrivaled success in its winter sales. The report looks at sales volume for games during winter sales and ultimately concludes that Valve's volume has increased by a staggering 50% over the summer sale. According to Steam Spy, it looks like 46 million games were sold just during the winter sale alone, including 310,000 copies of Fallout 4, grossing 14 million in revenue, and 339,000 copies of GTA 5, grossing 11 million in revenue. The winter sale, as Medium calculates, should have netted about 270 million in gross revenue for the digital games publisher, and that's just from the winter sales alone, not counting other sources of income. In order, the top sellers are Counter-Strike Global Offensive, unchallenged in first place with 575,000 sales, though the game only, quote-unquote, made 4 million in revenue. Rocket League is next with 407,000 sales at 5 million in gross revenue. GTA 5 with 339,000, quite a lot for a game that is considerably older than some of these other titles, though Global Offensive is certainly no newcomer. Fallout 4 had 310,000 sales, though the highest revenue out of all of them, and the indie title Undertale was following these much larger titles with 312,000 sales, grossing 2.2 million in revenue for the small developer. Definitely a massive feat for Undertale. The games industry, quite obviously, has gotten crazy big. ESPN, the largest sports broadcasting network in the US anyway, has historically had conflicting opinions about the world of eSports. We've heard broadcasters say they'd sooner quit than commentate Dota players, for instance, and that's just woefully ignorant of the future of gaming. But they've also looked into the option of supporting eSports. In a new announcement, ESPN looks like it's finally catching on to gaming as a professional, competitive sport, and as such, the network will begin covering esports in the immediate future. ESPN launched a new hub to esports where the network promises to cover gaming events and has already made moves to employ known esports reporters. Interestingly, Activision CEO Bobby Kotick, who is potentially one of the most hated men in the games industry, promised to turn MLG, which Activision just acquired for $46 million, into a, quote, ESPN of esports. So, in its hopes to do so, Activision Blizzard onboarded Steve Bornstein, former ESPN CEO, to head up Activision's esports network. Now, there's an actual eSports ESPN these days, so I'm not sure how Kotick's plans will change to accommodate that, but it will be an interesting battle for relevance between the two, as ESPN has pulled on Slasher, a pretty well-known GameSpot commentator of older days and former On Gamers esports editor before he was sacked following a Reddit scandal. ESPN also hired Azubu's Darren Kwilinski, another qualified esports reporter, and that's ramping up the world of esports pretty heavily in the immediate future, at least through 2016. The last bit of weekly news wraps with Intel's Extreme Masters Challenge, or IEM, and the next Polish IEM event will feature Intel's Extreme Masters Expo, which is a women's CSGO league, and aims to post 30,000 in prizes for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The event will be hosted March 4th to 6th this year, the same time as IEM proper, for lack of a better differentiator, and the 30,000 in prizes makes this one of the largest women's esports events to date and should showcase some intense FPS matchups. Definitely worth a tune in. That's all for this week's gaming news recap. Be sure to check out gamersnexus.net for ongoing, well-written coverage, and hit that Patreon link in the post-roll video to support us directly. I'll see you all next time.